what's up, guys? Got another video here for you. This is Tuned In Sports. I'm Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
And today we're just going to be briefly talking a little bit of NBA action. You know, the Clippers actually just wrapped up their Week 1 game against the LA Lakers. And with that being said, you know, the Thunder, they've got their first game tomorrow. You know, obviously this is preseason, so, you know, it's not really a big deal. But at the same time, it is a big deal because, you know,
it's basketball.
It's basketball.
Nice
we haven't seen really, especially with the Thunder, what they're going to look like this year. You know, I mean,
do you have high expectations for them though?
No. I mean, I feel like only a fool would be overly, have overly high expectations. Do I think that we'll be better than maybe some people would make us out to be? Yes. Do I see us getting to the 5th seed in the Western Conference this year? No. Unfortunately, no.
Do you even see them making the playoffs? Oh.
I think we could squeeze in as an 8th seed or something, but I'm not going to sit here and say guaranteed. Have
the Thunder missed? I don't think the Thunder have actually missed a playoff appearance since they became a franchise.
Yeah, they did.
So,
the one year when KD and Russell Westbrook got injured.
Oh, okay. I must have forgot about that, but
yeah. But I mean, it's been rare.
Besides that,
it's been rare. It's been rare where we've missed. Now, we've had a number of years where we made it and got knocked out in the first round, but we still made the playoffs nonetheless. But unfortunately, this season's going to be rough. But again, that was the expectation. Rebuilding for a reason. So, you know, it is what it is on that one. But you know, I mean, getting into the game against the Spurs, you know, preseason, not expecting too much. I'm really just mostly looking to see what kind of a team we've got this year. What some of these young draft picks that we got. You know, I've been really excited to check out the team this year and to really watch a lot more of the games than maybe I have in the past. I'm really going to try and make a commitment to doing that because it's just really, really exciting to watch basketball, and I'm really excited to have them back on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, last year they gave us a lot to be excited about with how they did it and how they defied the odds, so to speak.
Last year's team for the Thunder absolutely reminded me of the 2018-2019 Clippers. That same kind of situation where, you know, a team with not that high of expectations goes in there and proves everybody wrong. I mean, they took the Rockets to 7, just like we took the Warriors, we took the Warriors to 6, but nobody was even expecting us to win a game in that series. So it's, same kind of deal.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely. It was a great thing to see as a fan. You know, that was supposed to be really the start of the rebuild, and it almost felt like it wasn't one. So great job to the Thunder. You know, I'm anxious, like I said, I'm anxious to see kind of what the team is going to look like this year.
Yeah.
We got a lot of pieces, I feel like. A lot of good, solid young players. Are they going to amount to stars in this league? Time will tell. But one thing that I will say is that I'm excited to watch it, you know. I've heard a lot of things over the offseason, especially about some of these guys. Specifically, I don't know how to even say his name, so I'm not going to butcher it. But
is it Pokusevsky?
Pokusevsky. I don't know. But number 17, man, I've been reading all kinds of stuff on this guy. Like every single day, I'm hearing about this dude on social media, on just everything.
So his training camp performance must be pretty impressive.
One thing's for sure, he's got people talking.
Did he play overseas or?
What?
Like where did he play? Do you know?
No, I have no idea. I'd never heard of him, and that's part of the reason I had never heard of him, and that's part of the reason why I don't know how to say his name. But what I will say is, I mean, every single day I'm reading stuff about this guy and how excited people are to play with him and his work ethic and all this different stuff. Are we going to have the next Kristaps Porzingis? Because he's a power forward, looks like. Pokusevski, or however you say his name. He's a power forward. Yeah. So is he going to be the next Kristaps type player? Maybe. I mean, he very well could with the Thunder's draft history. I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you don't know how drafting these overseas players can go. Sometimes, you got like a Kristaps Porzingis who turns out to be a stud. And then other times you got Milos Teodosic who comes in the league for a year or two and wants to go back overseas and didn't really do much while he was here. You don't know.
The sad thing about Milos is I feel like we could actually really use him this year. He could really be a nice fit for this team, and we need somebody that can, be a ball distributor.
Yeah, but I mean, specifically, but I was gonna say specifically about the Thunder, though. I'm just saying, you can have the Kristaps side of it, or you can have the Milo side, where he's not even in the NBA, let alone on your team. He's back overseas. It's not even like you cut him or anything. He didn't want to play in the NBA.
Sad.
So, I mean, you could have either side of that. So, but I'm hearing so much about this guy, and I'm really excited to see him play because I had never heard of him. And on draft night, we were in the middle of doing something, so it's not like I had the whole time to devote to watching highlights. And of course, when they show you highlights of these guys, they look good. I mean, shoot, you could probably get some highlights together where I look like I could start for a team. But that doesn't mean that.
Or me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, us playing out in the backyard, you could probably find, dig up a couple highlights where we look like.
Or when we were kids on the Ballers.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You probably. If you put together the right compilation, you could find some clips where we look like we could be playing something. But should we be? Hell no. I mean, that's just the honest truth of the matter. So, highlights, it's great. Woohoo, love it. But I want to see some in-game action.
I'm with you, though. I mean, if this guy truly is really being, talked about as much as you're saying he is, who knows? I mean, this guy very easily could end up being a nice replacement for a guy like Gallinari or, like you said, the next Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Gallinari. That he is going to be that, but all I'm saying is, I mean, could he be that style of player that ends up being a huge, like a really big piece? Or is he going to be kind of like a Sabonis where he's a really solid player coming off the bench, but he's not exactly like star quality?
And you know who I'm also really excited to watch on the Thunder this year is what's his name? Lugans. Dort.
Yeah.
I think that guy going forward, I look for him to have a huge year. He's gonna have a, more of a big role on this team than he did last year. Not saying he didn't last year, because he really did play a pretty big role in their success, especially in the playoffs.
Down the stretch, yeah, he definitely.
So, but I look for him to only improve. I mean, the defensive game is there for him.
Yeah.
But, he just needs to improve his offensive shooting.
But, I mean, he had somewhat of an offseason to work on it. And, I mean, again, defense is not really I feel like the best defenders are the people, it's a want to thing. It's kind of like rebounding. The biggest reason why Russ gets so many rebounds a lot of times, it's not because he just happens to be in the right spot. There's a lot of people that can happen to be in the right spot, but not everybody's averaging a triple-double. The difference between Russ and other people is he makes it his business to go down there and fight and scrap for rebounds. And I feel like that's the same with defense. You can have a lot of guys that just say, well, shoot, if I can shoot the ball lights out, who the hell cares? They're going to put me on the floor, because that's the kind of game that the NBA has turned into nowadays. Shooting is more valued than defense for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have some really, really good defenders that you have a hard time putting on the floor because they're a liability on the offensive end. I mean,
exactly.
There's a lot of people that you can name that fit into that category who, probably would see a lot more minutes if they had an offensive game. But because they don't, I mean, think of like
Roberson, for example. If Roberson is really stellar defensively, but offensively it's just not there.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think he's just one of those players to me that if he had an offensive game, man, he would be tough to do.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of guys, but I mean, like specifically on the Thunder too, though. I mean, I'm really excited, like you said, Lugan Stort, because that's another example. He's got everything you could ask for defensely. Already.
He pretty much locked up James Harden in the playoffs.
Already, and he's only on year 2,
Yeah,
Lugan's is.
So the sky's the limit for that kid.
So if he can get it together, I mean, shoot, we could be looking at the next Paul George, really. I mean, when I look at Lugan's, that's kind of what he would remind me of if he becomes an offensive juggernaut. Because Paul George, when he first started, he was really known for his lockdown defense. I mean, I'm not saying he couldn't shoot, but I'm just saying that wasn't what he was. That wasn't what put him on the map. It was his defense, and then all of a sudden he started working on his offensive game, and before you know it, he's one of the better two-way players in the NBA right now. But when he first came out, it was Clippers. But when he first came out, though, it was the defense that really shocked people. I mean, he was locked down. I mean, he played great defense. So I feel like, that could easily be Dort as well. And, along with Dort, there's a lot of other guys. We got some new guys.
I know
George
you guys
Hill,
got rid of Nader.
George Hill, not Alex Nader. Al Horford. There's a lot of new guys that we have.
You guys have George Hill?
Yeah, we got George Hill. We have a lot of new guys on the team coming in, and it's going to be interesting to see Trevor Ariza also. And then I'm also looking forward to seeing the progression of some of the younger guys. We talked about Dort, but like, for instance, Darius Baisley, he played last year some quality minutes come playoff time and in the bubble. And, he looked like he might be able to play. And, I mean, obviously a shortened off season, but I feel like if he could develop his game a little bit, he could be a solid piece.
You know who else I really like that you guys got in a trade this year was, I think Ty Jerome could potentially be a really nice player for the Thunder. He showed some promise with the Suns when he was on their team, and I look for him to possibly really make an impact for the Thunder team, considering he develops into the kind of player that everybody thinks he could be.
Yeah, and Justin Jackson too. That was another acquisition that we had over the offseason. So I mean, there's a lot of young guys, and it'll just be interesting. And then I don't know. Diallo, yeah. However you say his first name, I think it's Amidal. But Diallo, he was a really promising player last season, and he played really good at times, but then he dealt with some injuries as well. Yeah. So he wasn't always available. As a matter of fact, I think he missed pretty much all of the playoffs. And I think he did play in Game 7, but by that time, he was kind of coming off injury, so I don't think we saw the 100% Diallo. Yeah. But, I mean, he has a lot of promise. And so I'm just really looking forward to seeing how these guys progressed.
Yeah, I used to look at Diallo kind of as one of those guys that, I mean, I don't know who else. I'm thinking of some other players that kind of are also in this category. I don't remember exactly what their names are, but I know a couple, just not being able to think of them. But, I used to look at him and think, wow, he's fun to watch in the dunk contest, but outside of that, I'm not really all that impressed. That's kind of how I used to look at him, but now watching him play a couple times, especially in the playoffs, I thought he played pretty decent.
Yeah. So there's a lot of guys on the team. It's a very young team, and it's just going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. And then you include also, like I said, the draft picks with Pokusevski, and we got a very young team. And then we got some older guys like Horford and George Hill. So it's kind of like a weird mishmash of players.
But I think the guys like, George Hill and Al Horford, those guys aren't mainly there to help them win. They're there to help bring up the young fellas that you guys brought in.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so I guess probably with that being said, they, at least these are kind of what rumors that I've heard, is the starting lineup is going to look something like Shea, Lugenstort, Trevor Ariza, Mike Muscala, and Al Horford. And I feel like, that's not a bad starting five. Definitely could be better.
I think.
But I feel like it's a decent group of people. And, again, this is a rebuilding team. So I'm not expecting excellency just nonstop. Out of this group.
Speaking of when you mentioned that starting five, that automatically made me think of another player that I just cannot wait to watch. Shea. I feel like as the years have gone by, in year one, on to year two, I think he only got better in year two.
Oh, so, absolutely.
I cannot wait to see what kind of a player he's going to develop into. I really wish that he was still with the Clippers right now, because they could really use him. They need a better point guard. More of a playmaking type point guard.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think Shea is going to be a really special player for a long time, and I really look forward to seeing what he can do, having the spotlight. He's going to be the main guy there. Yeah. I guarantee you, he's going to be the main guy for this season. And the main guy, I'm just wondering how he's going to fit in that role.
Yeah. Well, yeah, him, and then depending on how Dort progresses, I feel like depending on how Dort progresses, and then you've got Al Horford, that's
a pretty good tandem potentially.
Yeah. And Al Horford, I don't think is going to be here for the long term. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of surprised that he's still on the team.
And but you also got to figure. Ariza, as old, and he's not necessarily the same player he used to be, but he can still give you some scoring. The guy can still shoot the three ball.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, he is older, and he's not really going to be providing you as much defensively as he, maybe in his younger days would have. But still, I think he's a valuable asset for this team and can help develop guys.
But I mean, you also got Justin Jackson and then Darius Baisley coming off the bench. So does he need to? Be, excellency? Not really. I mean, if he can just play solid ball, and then we also got Isaiah Roby came over too. I think it was in that Suns deal. I can't. No, it wasn't.
He doesn't really ring a bell to me.
No, it doesn't. It wasn't the Suns, but he came over in another trade. We got Isaiah Roby, and he plays the 3 position as well. So we'll see what the roster ends up looking like. But just looking at names, I mean, we'll see how it looks. But I'm excited, and it'll be a good test to open with the Spurs, because obviously, when you're facing them, you're going to face a respected
organization.
Well, no, not so much that. I was going to say a well-coached team. And, Popovich is going to have those guys ready. And he's going in there with a purpose on what he wants to do. And speaking of which, we'll see what the coach looks like as well.
I think, this is a good sign, I think, for the Thunder moving forward. They got like a completely new roster, and I think it's just a nice thing to do. I mean, provide the coach with a different look than what they had there before. I mean, they were able to get Steven Adams out of there. I look forward to seeing kind of what they do at the center position, because I don't know exactly who they have there right now. Do you, outside of maybe Muscala?
They got Moses Brown, and they got a bunch of power forwards.
Well, yeah, Al Horford, true. I didn't think about him,
Moses Brown. But they got a bunch of guys that are really probably should be playing the 4 position, not so much the 5. But we'll see. And then, with Poku's Poku, we'll see.
Pokazewski or whatever his
Poku.
name is. Yeah,
I'm just going to call him Poku. So, with Poku, he's a power forward as well. But, we'll see what ends up happening. I don't really care if we win or lose. I just like to see some good play by the young guys. And I want to see them out on the floor a lot. I look forward to seeing Shea, like he said, how he's progressed. And just kind of what the unit's going to look like. How is Al Horford going to fit in? How are they going to use George Hill with Shea? And what's it going to be like with Roberson and some of these guys? Now, I mean, Roberson, especially now that you got Luguentz Dort, who's kind of came in and done exactly what Roberson was there for, which was an outstanding perimeter guard on defense who struggled a little bit shooting the ball, even though he was known to knock down some threes. Roberson definitely could knock down some threes, but I'm just saying, coming off injury, who knows? We'll see.
Is he still on the team, Roberson?
Yeah, he is. Huh. So we'll see, but
he is another guy that could help tutor some guys.
Yeah. So we'll see, but regardless, I'm excited for it. Definitely going to be watching the game, or trying to at least, and see what happens. So, with that being said, I think we'll go ahead and cap the video off here. If you like the content, hit that like button, subscribe, all that other fun stuff. Like I said before, if you guys are interested in hearing our thoughts on the Clippers, their first performance, as well as kind of this same kind of ordeal, where we talk about just players and stuff that we're excited about, make sure you go over to the Clip Joint, and check out their latest podcast. And we'll be continuing to bring out more and more NBA content, especially as the season starts and picks up.
Definitely.
We're definitely going to be bringing out some NBA for you guys. So, with that being said, my name's Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
See you guys in the next video.